ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be? Yes, but me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Sunday Night Football overtime. Chiefs, Packers. What a ball game. And we've talked about the Chiefs and them not being their normal selves. And I was hesitant. I've been asked many times, including on the NFC East Super Friends stream, who's the best team in the AFC? And I'm hesitant to name the Chiefs because I don't think they're that good right now because of their offense. But my problem is, if not the Chiefs, then who? It's not Jacksonville. It's not, Pittsburgh, as we saw today. It's not Cleveland, obviously. These are some of the best teams that the AFC has to offer. I said it would have been Cincinnati had Joe Burrow been healthy. He's not, so it's not the Bengals, clearly. I guess it is Baltimore right now. But how confident are you in the Ravens? I don't even know if I trust them. They're going to have to continue to earn my trust. But right now, I'm going to tell you what it feels like right now. I'm going to be honest with you. Whomever comes out of the NFC is winning the Super Bowl. That's what it feels like right now. That could be the furthest from the truth. But if we're keeping it a buck right now, and I'm going to keep it a $1.50 with you. Looking at the AFC, top to bottom, it is a better conference, but the NFC is more top-heavy than the AFC, meaning I think the top teams on that side of the bracket are better than the top teams on the AFC side of the bracket. I think the 49ers, the Eagles, and even the Cowboys are better than the best, and the Dolphins. I forgot about the Dolphins. They haven't beaten a real team all season long. I don't trust them further than I can throw them. Bottom line is, it's Baltimore right now. And I don't trust Baltimore. So this Chiefs team has been sketchy started week one when they lost at home to the Detroit Lions, and we tried to pass. Oh, Travis Kelce was out. Yeah, they're fine. They're good. And we've been trying to make excuses. I haven't been trying to make excuses. And I told them at the trade deadline, if you're serious about repeating as Super Bowl champion, you'll go out and make a trade for a real receiver. And they was like, oh, okay. We'll go get more Mecole Hardman. I said, that doesn't count. That's not what I had in mind. And I think they're going to suffer because of it. They don't have a go-to receiver in clutch moments like the one we just saw. When they got to have it, they don't have a guy. That's the second week in a row they've tried to go to Valdez-Scantling in a clutch situation. Now, that was pass interference. It is what it is. They didn't call it. You didn't make enough plays. Let's keep it a buck. You can go to the officials and you can blame them for not throwing a flag there. But at the end of the day, you still needed a touchdown and a two-point conversion because you didn't make enough plays through 4 quarters. Your defense, which had been the catalyst all year long, they weren't good enough tonight. And we can talk about this offense all we want. We'll get to the Chiefs. Let's start with the Packers. I've talked too much about the Chiefs already. Let's start with the Green Bay Packers because this is the Packers team that I thought I was going to see when the season started. And before I even get into the breakdown, this game was about to get underway. And they were singing the Sunday night song, and my wife looked over at me and she asked me, who you think gonna win this game? And I looked at her with this incredulous look like, what kind of question are you asking me right now? Are you serious? You know who's playing tonight? And I think I responded to her as if this were the Chiefs of 3 years ago, 4 years ago. That was putting up 40 on everybody. And there's no way they're losing to this young Packers football team. And she looked at me like, yeah, you heard what I said. Who's winning this game? I said, if you're being honest, right, if you asking me, it's the Chiefs. Why? That's not even a real question. And I told y'all that she said this earlier this year when they played, who was it that they lost to on a think it was the Broncos. I think it was they lost to, and she said they're gonna lose this game because they don't score no points for real. And I came on and I told you, I said my wife called it. I didn't see it happening, but she called it, and she's been down on the Chiefs all year long. She's been consistent on the fact that this offense doesn't look like it has in past years. And I don't disagree with that, but I'm like, it's still the Chiefs. Their defense is still good. They're going to get it done. She was like, I don't know about that. I think Green Bay going to beat them. I'm like, man, get out of here. And sure enough, we got to the third quarter, and Jordan Love is handling his business, and the defense is handling their business. And she looked at me and she said, if Green Bay wins this game and they going to win, I need you to tell everybody I told you Green Bay was going to win. So there you have it, Bay. You were right. Green Bay got it done. I didn't see it coming. But I've been adamant about, Kansas City struggles, but I thought they'd be good enough tonight. But this is about Green Bay. This is the Packers team that I thought I would see earlier in the season. You guys know, if you were following me in the offseason, I was adamant that Green Bay was going to win the NFC North Division, right? That was my pick. And I said, Jordan Love, I was a massive Jordan Love fan coming out of Utah State. And I thought Jordan Love was going to, be the next coming of Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. He had that kind of ability. Throw off of any platform, super athletic, kind of weird and, plays backyard football. And he just was a playmaker. Things break down. Jordan Love can make some shit happen. And so I was a big fan of his coming out of Utah State. And I'm not going to lie, the first, time I saw him in an NFL game that meant something was that Chiefs game back a couple of years ago. And that frightened me. It's one game and you don't want to get too carried away. When he came in relief of Aaron Rodgers last year on a Sunday night against Philadelphia and played well, I said, see, that's the shit I'm talking about. That's part of why I felt confident about Green Bay coming into the season, because I'm like, Jordan Love, I knew it. He can play in this league. And then the season started off, and he shredded the Bears in week 1, and they had the come from behind victory in week 2 against New Orleans. And then week 3, they were up like 18 points in the fourth quarter against Atlanta and blew the lead, whatever it was. And I was like, And remember that Saints game, that's on the heels of the Saints game where they were down, 17-0, 16-0, whatever it was. I think it was 16-0 in like the first or second quarter. And then the Saints, their car got hurt. They didn't score another point, and Love brought them back in the fourth quarter. Oh, thank you. Let me change this score. I don't even know if I downloaded it. All right, let me get my life together. I don't think I downloaded it. I didn't download it. I know I didn't download it. So let me get the right score going. Shout out to my wife, who's the real MVP here, and she just let me know. And y'all was probably screaming at me in the comment section, you got the Cowboys score up there. I appreciate all y'all in the chat for holding the kid down. Let me and I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all here in a second. Let me pull this bad boy up and get the right score and right everything going on first. And then we're going to get to the shits. Because I was telling them on the NFC East Super Friends channel, everybody had liquor like right next to their station or whatever. And they, Law would pull his up. Like, if y'all do XYZ, I'm going to take a shot. And then LB had his bottle and it had like literally a swallow left in it. And then Bad Dog bust out his bottle. I'm like, look, my shit is empty, bro. I drink because my team drives me to drink. I ain't got shit left. I guess they drink when they're excited. I'm the opposite. I'm drinking because I'm miserable, and this shit is terrible. But whatever the case may be, I made me a drink. Tonight was another one of those nights, man. It was just, I sat back, watched a couple of Washington players speak, and they're pissed. Like, you can tell they quit already. They're fed up. They're ready for change. There's nothing else Ron can say after a game that's going to move these players. They're done. And I'm done too. So blame it on the alcohol, why I didn't have the right score up there. That was terrible. But I'm about to have it fixed now. So there we go. I apologize for that. But shout out to my wife again. Bat like cook crack. Let's get it in. So this essentially, long story short, because I was probably going down a long rabbit hole that I didn't need to. Long story short, I thought the Packers would be good this season. They've lost a bunch of games that frankly, I felt like they had no business losing. They're a young team. And that's what I kept trying to remind myself as I kept picking them week after week, and they kept letting me down week after week. I kept telling myself, they're a young team. These are the growing pains of and they're not just any young. Like, there's no veterans on that team whatsoever. It's the blind leading the blind. Okay. And so I kept trying to remind myself of that, but I kept taking L's. And at some point, you got to cut your losses. And you gotta shed dead weight. And they were dead weight for me. And I said, I'm not picking the Packers anymore this season. That was about 4 weeks ago. They let me down again. I forget who it was that they were playing. I think it was Minnesota at home. They lost to the Vikings. And I said, that's it for me. I can't do this with them anymore. And I think from that point forward, they've won every single game, 4 in a row. They were 2-6 at that time. If I'm not mistaken, they're now 6-6. They literally look like a playoff team right now. And if you look at their schedule, they don't have to lose another game. We went through this last week, when we were talking about NFC 6 and 7 seeds, and Green Bay was in that conversation. And I looked at their remaining schedule. They don't have to lose another game. If you look at their schedule, they play in a trash division. Okay, I believe there's one more Detroit game, but it's at home. Other than that, I think there might be another Chicago in there. They're awful. There's another Vikings in there. That one's going to be in Minnesota, but that's a winnable game now. There's no Kirk Cousins. The last time they saw the Vikings, that was with Kirk Cousins. So, and there's a number of other bad teams that they play down the stretch that are winnable games. So I look at their schedule and I'm thinking they could get to 9 or 10 wins if they continue to play the kind of football that we saw tonight. And that's what they've been doing. The last, I'd say 2 weeks in particular. The Rams game was trash because the Rams didn't have Matthew Stafford, but they found a way to win, and that's all that matters, and that's what's important. But if you look at this game and last week on the road at Detroit, those were 2 really good performances by this Packers football team. Big wins, and Jordan Love is starting to look the way that I thought. Now, he also does some shit where you go, you got lucky. Like that pass he threw to Romeo Doubs down the field in triple coverage. F out of here, man. Like, he ain't like that shit. Nah, I want to give him credit for that. I'm like, Jordan, be honest. Look at Jordan. Jordan, you meant to do that shit. You meant to drop it in there like that. He was like, nah, I ain't mean to do that shit. But it happened, though. It happened, though. Like, come on now. You bullshit me. You can't bullshit a bullshitter now. You bullshit me. Anyway, he's starting to play that kind of ball that I thought he was capable of. And if he keeps this up, and again, it's a young team and they're growing together. And that's, what's so fun about having a young team is watching them grow. It's going to be painful. And I try to tell people, but a lot of people swear they built for that life, and they're not. They're not built for the growing pains that come with a young team. They swear they want a young team until the young team start doing young team shit. And now all of a sudden, fire everybody, get rid of this dude. We need one of these. They ready to give up on everybody. Because a lot of people not built for what they think they built for. and I used to always say this. I'm a Braves fan, and we were the baby Braves, and I went through that process with them. I'm a Grizzlies fan. I went through that process with them. Shit, I'm still going through it with them, right? With Jog, not being able to keep his head on straight and now being suspended in the team struggle. But that's part of having a young team. Stupid shit happens. Some of it forced, some of it unforced. But that's part of having a young team and having to deal with the growing pains that come with a young team. And if you're a Packers fan, this is fun. Watching this part, like the early portion of the season was rough. And you were going through it, and the drops and the inconsistent play from Jordan Love, the musical chairs on the offensive line, and the defense being inconsistent. And there's a lot of shit you had to deal with. But now you're starting to come out on the other side. You won this one without arguably your best offensive player in Aaron Jones, right? So that's huge. Love looked like a real NFC young budding star quarterback. The defense played the kind of football that we've known that they're capable of playing, but they don't always play. Now, I say that, and the Chiefs moved the ball on their ass. But when it was time to get in the end zone, and that's the most important shit. When we talk bend but don't break, that is the definition. Holding teams out of the end zone when they get in the red zone. Because we talk about this all the time. If you want to go to a stat that directly impacts the game, a lot of people go straight to turnovers. Not a bad stat to go directly to. You can go to penalties. That's another stat that can be very telling. But for me, I go straight to red zone efficiency. Because it doesn't always tell a story, which is why it's important to watch the game. Because again, if you throw a pass on 3rd and 11 from the other team's 27-yard line, and you get a gain of 8, and you're short 3 yards, 4th and 3, and you decide to kick the field goal from a 19-yard line, they count that as a red zone trip. Fair or unfair, that's a red zone trip. So you can't always look at, they were 1 of 4, but generally speaking, you see 1 of 4. Every drive isn't ending that way. Okay. Most times you had 1st and goal from the 7 and your ass didn't get in. Or you were 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line and your ass didn't get in. That's usually what those red zone trips are about. And the Chiefs got all the way inside the Packers' 10-yard line twice and couldn't get the damn ball in the end zone. Mahomes got sacked 2 or 3 times in the red zone, had to settle for field goals, and that's where the damn game was won by Green Bay and lost by the Chiefs. And you got to give credit to that Packers defense for stepping up. They got mix and match parts on that defense, young guys in that secondary stepping up, and they got the job done against Patrick Mahomes. Again, it speaks volumes about how down bad the Chiefs are offensively, specifically at the receiver position. But that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is the Packers got the stops. They made the plays, including late with Nashawn Nixon getting that pick and really putting them in a position to burn a ton of clock, get the Chiefs to use all of their timeouts, tack on that field goal that was all important because you really didn't want Mahomes to get the rock back with a chance to beat you down 5. So that pick was huge. And then the subsequent first couple of first downs that were picked up to put you in the field goal range, massive, because it allowed you to burn clock. And I disagree with Chris Collinsworth. I thought Jordan Love did the exact right thing. If you don't like what you see, take the damn sack. You're already in field goal range. Keep that damn clock running. That's what's important. When it came to, do you just run it and concede the field goal, or do you try to go for the win? No. You go for the win. Hey, no. It's still Mahomes on the other side. Like, don't fool yourself. You go for the win. But if you don't like what you see, if you know there's a high probability of you throwing an incomplete pass, no, take the sack. This is a high percentage play that we're running here. And if you don't like the throw, if you're not 100% sure that this thing is going to be completed because everything you did on your end and everything they did on their end is flawless, don't take the throw, take the sack instead and let that clock run and let's get this field goal. And while you don't want to put your rookie kicker Anders Carlson in a bad spot, he's a pro kicker. He should be able to make a kick from 48 yards. I ain't trying to hear that shit. If I can't trust my rookie kicker to bang it home from 48, up 5 to put me up 8, we got the wrong dude. And he came in, split the uprights like he's supposed to, and you burnt that clock down about 117 like you supposed to, and now you put Kansas City in a tough spot because not only do they need a touchdown, they need a 2-point conversion too. So I just thought this was to me, this was a total team effort. This was a 3-phase win by the Green Bay Packers. This was complimentary football at its finest because there weren't a ton of punts in this game. By either side, I think both teams might have had 1 punt apiece. I mean, I thought Mike Tirico said it perfectly. I think the Chiefs got their 6th possession in the 4th quarter. He's like, I don't remember calling a game where we get to the 4th quarter and this is a team's 5th possession in the game. But that's how efficient both offenses were. But the difference was Green Bay got in the red zone and Jordan Love was finding receivers. I can't even call them open because that one throw that he had to Watson with the corner right there, and he throws it up top shelf, and he goes up and gets it and pulls it down. That's throwing your receiver open, and that's a hell of a catch by Watson. But Jordan Love found guys in the end zone and made shit happen, and Mahomes didn't. That was the difference in the game. Was Love got in the red zone, 3 touchdown tosses. Mahomes got in the red zone, took 3 sacks. Settled for 2 field goals. That's the difference in the game. And that's why one team was victorious and the other wasn't. And that's why you got to credit Green Bay's defense. You know, I talk shit about Joe Barry because he was in Washington and he was awful. But he didn't have any talent either, but that's no excuse. He was awful. And Joe Barry did his thing, you know, mixing up looks. I always feel like when you're playing a quarterback like Mahomes, they want pressure. They want you to give them one-on-one. So don't. Rush 4, drop 7, play tight coverage, stay over the top, make him be patient. Mahomes wants to take the shot. Make him be patient. Make him be patient. And they did that. What you don't want to do is give up the big explosive because it makes it easy on the offense. Make them earn it. And as we saw tonight, make them get into the red zone and then make them do it when it counts the most. And they couldn't. This Green Bay team, man, they're young. They're learning, they're growing, and they're winning. And there's nothing more helpful to the process of growth than winning. Because it's easier for you to convey a message, even if you're being critical of your players. It's easier for you to get that message across to a young, impressionable team when you're winning football games. Everybody's ears are open at that point. This was a big one. Because this one, we counted this one as a loss. Oh, they 5-7, but they can win the rest of their games after this one. That's my exact words when we were talking about Green Bay on Thursday Night Football. Oh, they're gonna lose on Sunday night to Kansas City, but they can win the rest of their games after that, though. And they said, "Really? That's how you feel? Okay, we're gonna show you better than we can tell you." They said, "We ain't taking no more losses." What the hell you think this is? They went out and they took that shit from the damn Kansas City Chiefs. That was impressive. 3-phase win. Packers are now back to 500. Didn't think this would be even a conversation that we would be having this season when they were 2-6, and I left them for dead. And I exclaimed from the mountaintops, I'm not picking these bastards again this season because they ass stink and they done me in too many damn times. And I'm sick of trusting them and having them let me down. Far cry from the team that I left for dead on that same Lambeau Field back in probably late October against the Minnesota Vikings. Might have been early November. Probably was early November, but I'm going to say late October. 4 wins later in a row, they're now 6-6. And if you ask me right now, between them, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Vikings, those 4 teams, they're all 6-6. If you ask me right now who's the best of that group, I'll probably tell you it's the Rams, but I'm not sure it's not the Packers. I'll just say it like that. I'd probably tell you it's the Rams, but I'm not sure that it's not the Packers. And I'm watching these young boys come of age, Wicks and Dubs and Watson, who's really the leader of that group, which is crazy, right? Because all of these young boys are literally young boys, right? Jaden, the rookie from Michigan State, they got a lot of dudes, man. It's a lot of these young boys. A lot of these young boys. The tight end got his first career touchdown tonight. Like, it's a lot, man. They are young, but they also are hungry. And I always like to say young and dumb. Because when you're young, you don't know no better. You don't know that this stage is supposed to be too big and the lights are supposed to be too bright. And that's Kansas City, and that's Andy Reid, and that's Patrick Mahomes, and that's Travis Kelce, and Taylor Swift's up in the box. You don't pay attention to none of that shit. When you're young and dumb, that shit don't faze you. It's going out and having fun. That's what the Packers are doing right now. Anyway, Jaden Reed. Thank you, Mickey. Jaden Reed. They got some stuff, man. They got some stuff. I'm really, really excited to see where these Packers can go because I'm a big Jordan Love fan. Meanwhile, from the Chiefs standpoint, it's really nothing to elaborate on. I hate the Cook injury, James Cook. That seems serious. My guess is it's a broken ankle. I did not sleep at the Holiday Inn last night. I am not a doctor, but my original, initial prognosis is he probably broke his ankle. He's done for the season, by the way. So that's a big blow because he's been playing really well for them. Then Drew Tranquil left with a concussion, and their left tackle, I think he might have came back into the game, but he was dealing with something. Donovan Smith was. But, again, no excuses. This is who they've been. Like, I don't really have a lot to say on behalf of the Chiefs because this is who they've been, and this has been my concern, my chief concern. No pun intended. All season long. Like, you don't have a go-to receiver. You just need one. With Kelce and Pacheco and what those guys provide for you, you just need one. I'm not asking for you to have 2 and 3 dudes. And I told you, eventually that guy may end up being the SMU receiver, right? That's probably who it's going to end up being. But in the meantime, he's not ready yet. He's not there yet. So somebody's going to have to step up. And I'm like, there's nobody on the roster. Nobody on the roster ready to do that. Rashid Rice is not ready. But I'm telling you, he's going to be the guy. But he's not there yet. It's not Sky Moore. We know it ain't Justin Watson. It's not Kadarius Toney. It's not the dude from New York and Richie James. It's not him either, right? Like, it's not Valdez-Scantling. Definitely not him. They don't have him. It's not Mecole Hardman. They don't have that guy on the roster right now. And they needed to go out and get him. They won't win the Super Bowl this year. I assure you, their offense isn't good enough. This has been the problem all year long, and we can sit here and we can talk about this, that, and the third. Their defense is good. It wasn't great tonight. What were the Packers on third downs? I'm curious. My guess is the Packers were 9 of 14 on third downs because they started out red hot. They cooled off in the second half, but I'm saying 9 of 14. Packers were 5 of 10, so 50%. The Chiefs were 7 of 11. Both teams were really good on third downs because, hence, not a lot of punts and not a lot of possessions. How many possessions we had? 8 possessions for the Chiefs, 7 for the Packers. I mean, that's crazy. Normally, you get 11 to 12 possessions minimum in a game. Normally. 8 and 7. That's the kind of efficiency we saw from both teams offensively, including 1 of 1 on fourth down for Green Bay. And that was the crazy heave to Romeo Doubs. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs, this is who they are. Offensively, how many points they score in the second half? Yeah, it's still a thing. I know they lit up the Raiders last week in the second half. But, I mean, he scored 13 points in the second half, so I ain't going to kill him because they only had 6 at halftime. It was 14-6 at halftime. I'm not going to kill him, but I don't know if in the last month I've seen them put together a full game. They earlier in the season, they beat up the Bears pretty good. That was a complete performance. The Raiders game, they started dangerously slow. The first half was a nightmare until the final 6 minutes of the first half, that second quarter, where they were able to tie it up at 14. They were not good in the first half of that game. They should have been down big, and instead it was tied at halftime. And then they took over in the second half. I don't know if they played a complete game in a month and a half, straight up. They up until last week, they hadn't scored in the second half since October. That's the whole month of November. They did not score a second half point the entire month of November until that last game against the Raiders last week. And that was what? The 27th or 28th of November? What are we talking about here? It was probably the 26th or something like that. But whatever the case may be. It's crazy. This is who they are. Offensively, they're challenged right now. A lot is being placed on the shoulders of Patrick Mahomes, and those are broad shoulders. Don't get it twisted. But he can't throw it and catch it too, as we saw in the Eagles game. He can't throw it and catch it too. And he's human. I know some of you don't think so. He's human. He takes bad sacks. That pick he threw tonight was terrible. He's human. He needs help. He can't do it by himself. And then the defense, I thought this was their worst performance probably since they haven't had many of them this year where you go, whoa, that was pretty bad. They've been pretty much lights out most of the season. I mean, the reason that they're an 8-win team right now is because of this defense. Honestly speaking, I'm trying to think of the last bad performance I saw from this defense where they let the offense down, because they did. I felt like they let the offense down tonight because they didn't give them enough opportunities. Literally, the Chiefs had the ball 8 times tonight. And while the offense could have scored in the red zone, and that could have made all the difference in the world, how about just not allowing Jordan Love to shred you for 3 touchdown passes and 14 points in the first half and another touchdown in the third quarter, and have them in a position to win it. Let's not let him do that. I don't know if they've had a bad game this season. This might have been their worst. Now that I think about it, because I'm thinking about all the losses. Philadelphia defense was damn good actually in that game. They struggled a little bit later on in that game, but they did enough, more than enough to win that game. You give up 20 points, you're supposed to win in this league. 9 times out of 10. They lost to the Broncos. I don't remember what the score was in that game, but I know the offense turned it over 3 or 4 times in that game, maybe 5 times. I think it might have been 5 turnovers in that game for the Chiefs. They were awful on offense. That wasn't the defense's fault. The Lions game, the defense that was the only reason they were even in that game is because of their defense. Special teams let them down with a fake punt that they allowed to, be converted, and the defense gave up the touchdown on that drive. And the defense forced a turnover in the red zone. The defense was the only reason that game was even close. The offense didn't do enough. And they didn't have, obviously, Travis Kelce. That's not an excuse. So you got the Lions loss, we got the Eagles loss, we got tonight's loss, and they lost to the Broncos. And this is the worst game they played this season. I guess that's the conclusion I'm coming up to. Is this is the worst defensive performance of the season. 27 points. Might be their season high they gave up. I'm actually interested to see if this is the most points they gave up this season, because it feels like it. They gave up 24 to the Broncos when they lost 24-9. This is their highest point total they've given up all season long. That's crazy. That's how good they've been. 27 is the most points they've given up. 21 to the Lions, 9 to the Jags, 10 to the Bears, 20 to the Chiefs, 20 to the Vikings, 8 to the Broncos, 17 to the Chargers, 24 to the Broncos, 14 to the Dolphins, 21 to the Eagles, 17 to the Raiders, and tonight's 27 is the most points they've given up. So I'm not going to kill their defense because every defense is allowed, when you're good, you're allowed to have an off game. That's when the offense needs to pick you up. And unfortunately, their offense did some good things, but when it mattered most in the red zone, they were incapable of punching it in, and that's ultimately what cost them the game. And this is who I think the Chiefs are. As the competition stiffens, I don't think they have another gear this year. That's the thing that's scary is their defense is really good. They're losing pieces, as we see. But there's no other gear for Mahomes and the offense to turn it up to. In past years, you're like, all right, wait till they start clicking. They got Juju Smith-Schuster. They got fill in the blank. Wait till they start clicking. They got Tyreek Hill. They got Travis. Wait till they start clicking. They don't have that shit. They don't have that capability. This is who they are. And if you don't turn it over, if you're able to figure out Steve Spagnuolo's defense and you're able to convert on third down like the Packers were tonight, you're going to have a chance to beat the Chiefs. You're going to have to make a couple plays now. It's still Mahomes on the other sideline. Don't get it twisted. You're going to have to get a sack or you're going to have to fluster him, make him throw it away, pick him off, force a fumble, something. You're going to have to do something. Get him off the field a couple of times. Stop him in the red zone. You have to do something. He's not just going to lay down for you. But if you make those one or two plays and your offense is able to navigate Steve Spagnuolo's defense, you got a shot. Because this is not the Chiefs team from last year, the year before that, or the year before that. They're very, very vulnerable this year. Hence, they've already lost 4 games. Anyway, let's get to the comment section, see what you got to say. So, Junior Nando. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I didn't know Aaron Rodgers suited up tonight. He looked like him, didn't he? A lot of mannerism. Boy, if I could say there's a quarterback that rubs off on his peers or his understudies, rather, it's Aaron Rodgers. So he had Zach Wilson doing no-look passes like he nice. First of all, you garbage as F, bro. You can't even throw it straight when you mean to throw it straight. Now you trying no-look passes and shit? That's the Aaron Rodgers effect, right? He gets in there, you change up your ball handling, you trying to throw no-look passes, you throwing off of different platforms, your feet ain't set. Rodgers is a dangerous influence on a young quarterback because the shit Rodgers does, you tell your young quarterback, hey, don't do that shit. Don't pick your feet up off the ground. You're supposed to be driving off that back foot, right? Don't take your feet off the ground when you're throwing the football. Don't do that shit. Aaron Rodgers can get away with it. Jordan Love can get away with it. You get guys with big arms, they can do that shit. Don't do that. But you can see he's picked up some of Rodgers' bad habits. But and they're not bad habits if it works. It's only bad habits when it don't work. Thank you for the super chat, Junior. Greatly appreciate you, Junior. Nando. Juan Gotti talking sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, I'm looking at Arizona like, let me get that 3 up off you. You know what? I've already said this, and I mean this, and I'm gonna stick to it. The higher you get, the more enticing it becomes for the next dude to come in here to draft a quarterback. But I'm open to any and everything. And if that next GM comes in here and decides he wants to pit 2 Carolina quarterbacks against each other, Sam and the young boy that's there now, Drake May, so be it. I don't believe in any of these quarterbacks other than Caleb Williams in terms of the talent. And I think Caleb Williams is very immature, and I don't want him anywhere near my organization necessarily. But as Bad Dog said, he can grow, he can mature. I'm scarred though. I have PTSD from Robert Griffin III. That shit doesn't go away easily, and he seems to have a lot of me, I type of, disease, and that shit it can be infectious. And some of the ways he's handled adversity at USC, that shit is not becoming of a franchise quarterback. But that said, a lot of dudes that are going to be available, I just don't think they're better than Sam Howell. But the higher up you get, the harder it becomes to resist, right? We'll see. I still think Sam's going to be the guy, and they're going to build around him. But if you get to number 3, I think the options become greater, because at 3, you could potentially look at somebody at 5 or 6 and say, hey, I got this number 3 pick. What you trying to do? Because moving back 3 spots ain't going to kill you. Because, when you're that high in the draft, you make a list, right? So if you're at 3, you make a list of 3 dudes. One of the 3 is going to be there. If you move back to 6, you got a list of 6 guys, and one of the 6 guys is going to be there. And you've picked up ridiculous amounts of draft capital. The higher you get, the more you got to be thinking, hey, I can move back and still not have to, because a lot of the teams in the top 10 need a quarterback. Like, they're desperate for a QB. The Giants need a quarterback. Are you really trying to do business with them? As long as it's not Caleb Williams, I'll trade you whatever you want if you want to come up and get Drake May, you want to get Michael Penix, you want to get Bo Nix, you want to get whomever. I don't give a shit. If it ain't Caleb Williams, come on, bring your stinking ass up here. Let me get all your shit. Let's swap ones. Let me get your 2 this year. Let me get your 4 or your 5 this year. Let me get your 1 next year. Let me get your 3 next year. Like, come on. Come on, Cletus. Come on. The higher you get, the more valuable your pick becomes. We could either make a selection or we could trade back. So, Arizona, they got to win another game, and we got to win no more games. I'm telling you, we going to get somebody ass. I think we got one more win in us. I think we got one more. And and let me not sugarcoat it. It's the Jets. It's the Jets game. We got one more win in us, and I think it's the Jets game. They're awful at quarterback, man. I know you didn't watch today, and nor should you. They're terrible, man. It's Trevor Siemian. To me, they were better off with Zach Wilson. Yeah, he sucks, but these 2 bums I watched today, like, you ain't winning shit with them either. Leroy Will Jones. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Been a member for 4 months. Who writes? That Philly meat got tenderized today. Pause. Tenderize that Philly meat real good. That's a good one. I forgot about that. I'm gonna have to post that tomorrow. That's a good one. I forgot all about that. Yeah, we're gonna have to bring that one up tomorrow. We're gonna have to run that back tomorrow. And I'm gonna post that. Tenderize that Philly meat real good. Kevin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Right. Hey, Lou. Boy, did my Packers show out. Boy, did they ever. Youngest team in the league, but we are not to be taken for granted. Excited for the years to come with this team. And see, that's the excitement I was talking about right there from Kevin. If you're a fan and you watch the growth, he sat through the growing pains earlier this season, right? When they couldn't get right, when they couldn't even get the simple shit like lining up correct. And you're burning timeouts, or you got a legal formation or a legal shift. Like, they had some delay of games tonight, right? Like, that's still young team shit. That comes with the territory. Again, I feel like a young team fan aficionado, because every team that I root for in every sport has been young in the last 6 to 7 years, where I go, man, this is brutal. We talented, but man, the stupid shit we do drive you to drink. But I'm telling you, there's no greater reward than when they start to put the shit together and they start to click. And you see it happening before your eyes. And you see the plays that they weren't making before. Now they're making them. And you see guys stepping up in roles that they weren't comfortable stepping up into earlier in the season. And you go, oh, yeah, I see it. I see the vision now. This is going to be fun. And when you know, hey, I got this for the next 3 years, 4 years. Like, it's young and they all growing together. They all the same age. I ain't got to worry about, well, damn, this guy is staggered at this point. This guy's like, these boys all young. These are first and second year players we talking about. Some on, first round pick, 5-year deals, others on 4 years. But whatever the case may be, these boys all under contract for the next 3 years for the most part. So you looking and you say, hey, we got a shot. Jordan Love, that they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do. They signed him to a 1-year deal essentially. They're going to have to long-term this man if they believe in him, and I think they do. And, so they're going to have to pay the quarterback here, right? But outside of that, this is what you live for as a fan. You should be excited. And y'all definitely showed out tonight, Cab. Red Wing 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Red Wing 01 writes, is it too late to point out accidentally skip my super after the Fins game? Anyway, at this point, the Ravens look like the only legit AFC team. It's not too late. What did you say? We can address that right now if you got it. I didn't see your super, but I know you super because I saw it at the top. But now that you said something, I don't remember reading one from you. But then again, you read a bunch of them and they start to bleed together sometimes. But that's on me. I don't think that was you were too early or anything like that because Kevin the PRF got all the early ones. I think I just probably on my end. I've been having some issues with my me scrolling up and down. Like for whatever reason, my laptop's been too sensitive to when I touch the screen. I don't like it. But I think that's got me kind of going up and down a little bit, faster than I want. And sometimes I think I'm skipping over some supers. That's on me, though. That's a me problem. That's not a you problem. I apologize for that. If you can remember what you said, I would love to address it. Even though I know it's not on the Washington stream, I would love to address it. The Ravens, I'm hesitant to crown them. And I still believe that the Chiefs are dangerous because it's still Patrick Mahomes, it's still Andy Reid, it's still Travis Kelce and the like, Steve Spagnuolo and they all, and Chris Jones. Like they still exist. They're not to be taken lightly, but I just know they don't have enough firepower if the other teams come to play. That said, I still don't trust Baltimore. I really don't know. Like I think I said this earlier. If Baltimore can't get it done this year, when will they ever get it done? There's no Joe Burrow. There may not be any. Like, if Buffalo can just get in, this is the year right here. This is the mother effing year. If you're Buffalo, you sit back after this bye week and you look at the damn landscape of the AFC, you got to get your shit together after this bye. And I know it ain't easy, and I know it's a bunch of tough games. You got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and say, listen, this is our chance. The Chiefs are vulnerable. There's no goddamn Bengals. This is the year. If all we got to worry about is the goddamn Baltimore Ravens, this is the mother effing year. The Dolphins ain't about a damn thing. You lost to the Jags, but you're like, man, F the Jaguars. They don't know nothing about this playoff shit for real. This is the damn year. If you the Bills. But if you the Ravens, I feel the same way. Like, this is the year. Josh Allen and them boys tripping. They might not make it. Patrick Mahomes is vulnerable. Joe Burrow is out of there. Like, if you can't get it done this goddamn year, I don't know if the shit gonna happen. Ayub Matan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, we got to go young like Green Bay and dump the old dudes. Love looks like a problem. Left tackle, if I remember, didn't say he would the worst quarterback out of 2020. I think you're trying to say I said he would be the worst quarterback out of 2020. Was Jordan Love even drafted in that draft in 2020? If he was, I can tell you this right now. I know I didn't say that because I was a Jordan Love fan. I know how I felt about Jordan Love, similar to Josh Allen. There's just certain dudes that you remember and you was like, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Zach Wilson was gonna be better than Trevor Lawrence. Like, if I was drafted, I would have taken Zach Wilson. I would have been wrong. Absolutely, flat out wrong. But Love was one of those dudes I really, really rocked with coming out of Utah State. And I thought he had a bright future. But again, we'll see. Again, he's still growing. He's still young. He still hasn't started a full NFL season yet. A lot of people don't realize that. Tonight was start, 14 for him? What's the Packers record? Yeah, start 14. One start last year, and then 12 this year. So, or one start 2 years ago. He didn't even start a game last year. He came in relief last year against the Eagles. He started 2 years ago against the Chiefs. So, this young fella is still growing. He's still learning. He's still maturing. He's got all the tools. Got all the tools. We'll see if he can continue to put it together, continue to be consistent. Ash, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, AFC playoff picture is weird and how is Pitt in the playoffs, but Houston isn't. Because Houston beat them earlier this season. Also, T-Dell injury really hurts. That hurt my soul because you know how big of a Tank Dell fan I was. I told y'all he's one of my favorite receivers, if not my favorite receiver out of the 2023 NFL draft. I told you I wanted my Commanders to take him. He was that good, and he's been so dynamic for the Texans. To me, they don't have a lot of guys that can take the top off, even though they've had a bevy of receivers get behind the defense this year. Some of that is on C.J. Stroud creating and kind of lulling the defense to sleep. Some of it is, the scheme and guys just getting wide open. But he was the one dude that provided you with true, speed. And not that Tank Dell is this 4-3 dude because he's not a blazer per se, but he can run. And when you needed a big play, you knew you could go to him. And now he's done for the season, and that's tough. That's a bitter pill to swallow. But you asked about the AFC playoff picture, and I said as a conference, that conference is just better than the NFC, but the NFC to me has the better teams at the very top. But at the back end of the AFC, Indianapolis being 7-5 is total mind blowing. That's a total mind blow for me. Like, wait a minute, what? Shane Steichen is, again, this is why I tell Washington fans, it don't have to be this crazy rebuild that y'all think it is. You get the right guy, you get the right players in place, and you got a guy that you trust calling the plays with a quarterback in Sam Howell that can sling it and can do some things, be a playmaker for you. This shit don't have to be 2-3 years down the road that you turn it around. I mean, they doing this shit with Gardner Minshew, bro. They've scored 20 or more points in every game this season except the one game over in Germany against New England. Every game this season. And they've had multiple games where multiple quarterbacks had to play. Early in the season, you had Anthony Richardson in and out of the lineup, and they weren't phased a bit. But you asked about Pittsburgh, and Houston beat them. Did Houston beat them in Houston earlier, or did the Steelers beat them? Sure it ain't the other way around? Houston probably did beat them up good. Was that the 30-6 game? He beat the brakes off of somebody 30-6. I want to say it was Pittsburgh. But my guess is they have the same record. Do they have the same record? Because ain't Pittsburgh 7 and well, Texas got their 7th win today. They're 7-5. Has Pittsburgh had their bye already? Well, let's check. You asked? Let's check. Because Steelers in some trouble with Kenny Pickett being out now. They're in some big trouble. Big trouble. Let's see what we got. Pittsburgh is 7-5. Houston is 7-5. Let me tell you where the difference is. I want to say that the first, let's see. So I'm going to explain to you the reason they have in here. Pittsburgh is the 5 seed. Why? Wins tiebreak over Indianapolis based on best win percentage in common games. Division tiebreak was initially used to eliminate Cleveland. Pittsburgh wins the tiebreak over Cleveland based on best win percentage in division games. Division tiebreak was used initially to eliminate Houston. Indianapolis wins tiebreak over Houston based on head-to-head win percentage. So right now, it's because they have the better conference. I think they got the better conference record. It says division record, but y'all not in the same division. Y'all did play them head-to-head, and you guys beat them 30-6, I believe is what that score was. Yeah, you beat the brakes off from 30-6. But they saying they got a better conference record. I gotta believe that head-to-head gotta mean something. Which I would advise you to go check, because I remember one year when I was doing it, when I was looking at Washington I think it was last year, and they got it's weird, it's funky how they do the tiebreakers. I don't even know if head-to-head is the first tiebreaker that they go to anymore. I know that sounds crazy, but I think there are other, factors that come before head-to-head. Like there might be 2 or 3 tiebreakers that they get to before they get to head-to-head. So you should look that up. I'll just tell you that much. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, Lou, this team has been making me drink. You see what I got going on here, man. You see what's up. What a damn joke today was, but it was expected. Facts. Everybody about to be fired. FSU not making the playoffs. Somebody brought it up earlier. I think it was my guy, Chris, who brought it up earlier. And, I feel bad for FSU because you did nothing but won every game on your schedule. And you're in a Power 5 conference, and you play some big games, including their first game of the season was, what was it against? LSU, if I'm not mistaken, right? And they beat LSU. And you're telling me that my resume isn't good enough, but all I did was win every single game in a major Power 5 conference with a win over an SEC team that's been damn good this season, and a Louisville team that's been damn good this season, who I just beat in the ACC championship game. And you're telling me all of this is for naught? And I get it. I understand their gripe. I know why they're pissed. They have every right to be pissed. But then, what's crazy is this is what the committee had to consider. And I think this is why they made the decision. One, obviously, the injuries to the quarterback position for Florida State, which they're saying don't rob us of our opportunity because of shit we can't control. We controlled what we could control, which was going out and winning the games anyway. You shouldn't take our right to compete in the playoffs from us because of injuries, which we can't control. All we did was overcome those injuries and still win, and you should reward us for that. And they're not wrong. However, the committee is thinking about what are the best matchups that we can create. And a Florida State team with a backup or a third-string quarterback going against fill in the blank, whether it's Michigan or whomever, isn't going to move the needle if Michigan drops these boys, 41-10, right? Like they, in their minds, like that's not going to be the game that gives us the bang for our buck like we got last year with Ohio State and Georgia in that New Year's Eve game, playoff game, right? That's what they're looking for. But here's the thing that a lot of people aren't thinking about. Alabama lost 1 game this season. And what their AD is saying is, we're going to have to take a look at the out-of-conference games, because we play in a tough conference as it is in the SEC, we're going to have to start taking a look at the out-of-conference games we schedule if you're going to penalize us for going outside of the conference instead of us playing Appalachian State or us playing Southwest Jacksonville State. We played Texas, and we lost. And we didn't lose another game this season. And Texas is a one-loss team, and they're ranked 7th in the nation, and they won the Big 12, and that's our only loss. And we went out in our way to play them, and we scheduled them, and you penalizing us for not playing some weak-ass team that we could have whooped, and we wouldn't have had a loss this season. And that's what Alabama is saying. I think they got 2 losses, though. I think Bama got 2 losses, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check that. No, Texas beat them up too, but they might be 1 loss. Feel like they 1 loss. They should have lost 3 games this season. Alabama, I look at them and I'm like, you not that good. But yeah, Bama's 12-1, and that 1 loss was to Texas. And they're saying, if you're gonna penalize me for playing Texas, for scheduling Texas, going out of my way to play competitive schedule, and now I can't get in because of that, I'm gonna have to reassess that in the future. I might play UNC Charlotte instead of playing Texas because you're not gonna look out for me. And so that's something that I think the committee started to weigh too. Like you want to set precedents that you're going to reward teams for playing tougher schedules, for putting their neck out there, because college football is one of those sports that is such that if you're rewarded for playing a tough schedule if you win. But should you dare lose, they're not going to have pity on you. They're not going to say, hey, you played a tough-ass schedule, and here's your reward. They're just going to go, oh, sorry, tough luck, bro. Maybe next year. Better luck next year. So I think they wanted to reward Alabama for going out of their way. They already play a tough schedule in the SEC. They found ways to win, and they went out of their way to play Texas. They lost that game, but they have to schedule Texas, and they did. We don't want to penalize them for playing those types of games, whereas Florida State, again, they play in the ACC. The ACC is not the most difficult conference in the world. I don't know what their out-of-schedule games look like, or out-of-conference, rather. Out-of-conference games look like, but it sucks because if they had a healthy Jordan Travis, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It is what it is. It sucks. Red Wing 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Red Wing says, Niners cemented themselves as the team to beat for any potential contenders. They are simply sensational. If trading Chase and Trent for Skittles means humiliating Dallas and Philadelphia, worth it in my opinion. I felt this way about San Francisco. I've been telling y'all, even when they were in the midst of losing, it wasn't until they lost that 3rd game against Cincinnati where I started to say, man, I don't know. Maybe they're in trouble for real. But I remember telling Niners fan, because Niners fan, he reminds me so much of this Bengals fan that I used to talk to all the time, named Brown Shoes T2. And he used to call him BS T2. And he would get so down on his team when they would lose, and he would talk about what they weren't. And then when they would win, he would be so high on his team. I think Brown Shoes T2 was a little bit more, I think he's more like my guy Reed, who's a Buccaneers fan. When they lose, he's so hypercritical of his team. They suck, they're this, they're that. They can't do this, they can't do that. When they win, you know, and I think that's somewhat of a mechanism that you build in as a fan. When you've been let down a number of times, you start to look for the negatives because you don't expect the positives to happen. But I remember very vividly telling, Niners fan, your team is good. And I think you're the best team in the NFC. He's like, there's no way we're going to beat Philadelphia, and Philadelphia's going to crush us. We're not good. We're this, we're that. And I'm like, bro, you got to chill with that shit, man. Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams healthy, and you losing games, then you can talk to me. Until then, I ain't really trying to hear none of that shit. That's just what that was my stance the entire time. And y'all can go vet that, right? But that's what I've been saying the entire time. And y'all saw the preview that I did for the game on Friday. And I said I wouldn't be shocked. I didn't expect it to happen, but I said I would not be shocked because we've seen this Eagles team all year long, and we've seen this defense be garbage as hell, and we've seen this offense be slow to start games and then pick it up. But I'm like, the difference is this ain't Buffalo, this ain't Washington, this ain't Miami, this ain't Kansas City, even though Kansas City's defense is really good. And I said that. I said, this San Francisco defense is different. And if you fall behind, you can get your ass whooped potentially in this game. And I said, I could see a scenario in which they beat the brakes off of them and dog walk them like they did Dallas. And I said, I would not be shocked. And I wasn't shocked. Because the Eagles aren't good on defense, and the 49ers are good on offense, and the 49ers are good on defense, and the Eagles' offense is good, but it ain't great. And you saw all of those things come together. It was a confluence of all of those things. 49ers got stops when they needed to get stops, got after Jalen Hurts. They were able to be physical. And I told you the thing about San Francisco that makes them dangerous is they can beat Philadelphia, at their own game. Because they can play finesse if they need to. They can play physical football if they need to. They can chase down Jalen Hurts. They can hit him. They can be physical. You saw the hit on DeAndre Swift. Don't be bringing that weak stuff in here. Don't be bringing that weak shit in here. You don't throw that little shallow cross? Get your ass mopped the hell up. This ain't Buffalo. This ain't Washington. This ain't Miami. And it ain't Kansas City. You ain't turning the goddamn corner tonight. Get your ass whooped. They were talking all that shit about what they were going to do to San Francisco. Deebo Samuel this, he that. Their coach always got some shit to say. What you got to say now? Huh? What you got to say now? Not a goddamn thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, as long as the 49ers are healthy, I don't see nobody effing with them. Now the Eagles are underdogs going into Dallas on Sunday. That's going to be a hell of a game Sunday night next week. Shit. You better get your damn popcorn ready. You know, he's like, I'm ATI ready. I'm popcorn ready for next week. Shit, I'm ready. That shit is going to be cold-blooded. I get to watch two NFC East teams beat the shit out of each other, and somebody's got to lose. It just sucks because I want to be relevant like those two teams. Who am I kidding? I want to be relevant like them. I want to be playing in a big NFC East game. That used to be us. It ain't been us in a long time, but that used to be us. Hell, it was us and the Giants last year playing a big game on Sunday night. Last year. I'd love to be back in that spot, but that's going to be a fun one next week. It's going to be a fun one. Old Daiquiri, Juan Gotti Talking Sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. I think that's a double up for you. Old Daiquiri is an MVP frontrunner right now, in my opinion. I think Brock Purdy might be right there nipping at his heels. You know, it's funny because Jalen Hurts, after this performance and them getting their ass whooped, it's easy to dismiss him. He still should be in that conversation, but I do think it's Daiquiri, and I think Brock Purdy is right there, man. Brock Purdy is having himself a whale of a season. It's going to come down to who wins, right? Purdy's already beaten both the Eagles and the Cowboys, and if they end up with the number one seed, I can see Brock Purdy being the MVP of the league, which is crazy. You're talking about a dude that was drafted Mr. Irrelevant last year as a rookie, afterthought, and we could be talking about him being the league MVP in his second season. If that ain't coaching, I don't know what else is. I'm going to tell you that right now, but that's amazing. But look, Dak is right in the mix without question. Daiquiri is right there. This is the best season I've ever seen from Daiquiri, by the way. So I believe he's definitely in the mix. Red Wing 01, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes. And is one a humiliating loss. All it takes to make Jalen Carter cry like a little bee. Like, bro, you still have the best record in the NFL. Chill. I don't like to jump on players for crying and shit. I don't know what he had going on. If it's just because you lost this game, then yeah, I got a problem with that. Save that shit for the locker room. Because some dudes get emotional. Like, that's not uncommon. Some guys don't know how to take losing because they never really lost. Like, you got to look at Jalen Carter's collegiate career. How many times did he actually lose at Georgia? I'll wait. They didn't lose in any of the last 2 seasons. This was their first loss that they took against Alabama in the SEC championship game. That's their first loss in 3 seasons. So he didn't lose the last 2 years. I don't know. I think he was a true freshman, right? But they won pretty much his entire career there. I don't know what his high school career looks like. He might not be used to losing. So he's taking it hard. They've been winning pretty much every game. But, yeah, he can't be crying and shit, though. Not like, say that shit for the locker room. Dudes cry all the time. You can't be boo-hooing on the sidelines, though. Like, get your act together. You need law for get your damn act together. Like, you get your shit together, man. Say that for the locker room, then you can unload that shit, start boo-hooing and all that bullshit. Don't do that shit on the sideline. You too damn big and you too damn old for that shit. That's what my mom used to tell me. You too damn big and you too damn old to be crying like that. Save them damn tears for when you need them. Too damn big, you 300 and something pounds, you too damn old for that shit. And that's not an excuse, okay? You can be big and old as you want it and still cry. Just wait till you get to the locker room, bro. That's all I say. Just say that shit to the locker room. Want to go out talking sports, right? If we get to number 3, I know we need O-line, but MHJ is my pick. I've already said this. I'm adamant about where I stand, about what needs to be done, but we don't know what free agency holds for us, and I'm going to ride with whatever the GM decides to do, period. I'm not tripping about nothing this offseason. I'm not going to be surprised by any decisions that are made because I'm not tied to a single player on this roster other than Sam, and even if they move on from him, I'm like, bet, let's do it. Understand where we've been, where we're going, what we've been through, and I just want to do this shit the right way, and I'm going to give the dude that they bring in here to be the GM, or it could be a female, whomever they bring in to be the new GM, I'm giving them total autonomy over everything, and I'm going to let it ride. And I'm going to just say, whatever you say, I'm rocking with it, and we're going to roll. Whether you right or wrong, we're going to be right or wrong together because I'm going to ride with it. And we're just going to see where it goes. I may not agree, and I may voice my displeasure with it, but I'm going to rock because that's how I do. I might not like a draft. I didn't like Emmanuel Forbes at 16 or wherever the hell we was at, 17, wherever our pick was. I didn't like that shit. I wanted Gonzalez, and he fell right to us. And we passed up the opportunity to pick him because they wanted a guy that could create turnovers. But he's on the team, so guess what? I'm going to ride with him. I'm going to ride for him. But in my heart of hearts, I'm like, y'all got the wrong guy. I'm not mad that they didn't pick Deontay Barnes. I'm not Banks. I'm not mad that they didn't pick Joey Porter Jr. Them two can kick rocks. I watch Joey Porter every week get 2-3 flags every week like I thought he would when he got to this level because he handsy as shit. Every week somebody could go post some PFF. No, he's 51% of targets. I don't want to hear that shit. I'm watching the game. I see the pass interference penalties. I see the holding penalties. I see what his ass get every week. Gonzalez was the one. And he was balling before he got hurt in New England. He was the one that got away. We'll see what happens. If they take MHJ, all right, let's ride. Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, my Miami Super. That was the first game I've been to in 10 years. Went about as expected. was a sea of turquoise. Defense got abused. Sam hung out to dry. So let me first say this. I saw the visuals, the almost the overhead look. It wasn't overhead though. It's more like somebody slightly above stadium level, not like, you know, in a plane or anything, but slightly above, like almost like the 400 level, taking a picture of the whole bowl, the whole stadium essentially. And it was a lot of turquoise. I didn't even know that many Dolphins fans existed in Miami. You go to the games, there's plenty of empty seats. To see that many Dolphins fans at a Commanders game, though? What? And this is the thing. Our PR department and our social media, they got to stop promoting these sellouts as if it's a badge of honor when we all know it ain't our fans at this game. They got to stop doing that shit. They taking like a measure of pride and honor by saying, hey, you know, since the new owners come in, we selling these games out. Bro, that was cool week 1 against Arizona because that was our fans there. It ain't been our fans since week 1. Buffalo fans came in, took that bitch over in week 3. Week 5, I know a lot of people was like, man, I ain't effing with this shit. They went, and I know some people that went and said, I ain't going back because we got embarrassed so bad. You know? And it is on and on and on from there. Week 8 against Philadelphia, you know the Eagles fans came in, took that bitch over. Week 10, you know, we can go, what was it, 11 after that? Like, we can go on and on and on. This shit was trifling, man. And I looked at all them Dolphins fans and I said, you got to stop talking about a sellout. Like, you're not fooling nobody. We already know what it is. Your fans ain't there. They got to stop doing that shit. The defense was trash, but we already knew the defense was going to be trash. And like you said, Sam was hung out to dry. It was sort of what you've come to expect, honestly. Mike Jank, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, today was a day, my guy. Yeah, it happens like that sometimes. Y'all will be all right. But this was a humbling experience. And this is what I've been trying to convey to Eagles fans because they keep trying to tell me we're not playing our best football. We ain't even played a complete. I'm like, have you? And I can tell they haven't really wrapped their brain around this concept. What if this is who you are? Like the Chiefs. What if this is who you are? What if there is no, we can play better than this? What if you have to win games 34-31? What if? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if that's like, don't compare like the Chiefs. They're not scoring points. So you holding them to 17, if you want to wear that as a badge of honor, knock yourself out. Look at what they did today. They scored 9 against Denver. Look at what they did today against Green Bay. Like, they're not scoring against nobody. So your defense didn't do anything against real NFL outfits. And it's crazy that I can even include Washington in that mix because we put up 31 on them twice. But against real competent offenses with any kind of dynamic ability, with a quarterback that can get out, move, and find targets and hurt you, you've given up huge points, yards, etc., but you've won. But I'm like, how long? And I asked LB this exact question on the Super Friend stream. How long is this sustainable for? And his answer was, what game did and Eagles fans, and I'm not talking about you, Eagles fans love to deflect. What game has the defense lost for us? Today's game. We can start with today's game. Because that was the excuse. What game has the defense lost? I'm like, they've been on the verge of losing a lot of games if the offense wasn't playing at the level they was playing at. That's not, you can't use that in as an excuse. Don't worry. There could be more of these coming because this defense is not going to get any better. This is who they are. You're going to have to score to win. You're going to have to score to win. Ryan Woolridge. Cheers, Ryan. Ryan Woolridge writes, Green Bay Packers could go to the Super Bowl run and could play Baltimore Ravens or Ravens versus 49ers in the Super Bowl. Ravens win. Now, I can't buy that the Packers get that hot. They're a young team. I think they got a legitimate shot at making the playoffs. I think it was Juan Gotti who had the Rams and he might have had Green Bay. I can't remember who. I know the Rams were one of the teams. I was like, I don't know about the Rams. No, he might be on to something. Juan Gotti might be on to something. I'm looking at the Rams and the Packers right now, and I'm saying they might be the two best back into the NFC roster teams. I don't want to discount Seattle yet, though, either. Right? Minnesota ain't going no damn where but home. But I don't want to discount Seattle. I still think Seattle's going to make it. But their schedule is brutal. And that's why I look at the Rams and the Packers. I'm saying, hey, if Seattle continues to struggle against good teams, you got a shot. And I think they got a shot. But we'll see what happens. Gearcell 1. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, always glad to see the Eagles lose. Just saw Jalen Carter and EB at Jiffy Lube wearing matching leather pants with prints on the crotch. Tragic. Were they both crying? Were they both Jordan crying? I don't know. Maybe. Aubrey, 44. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, don't agree with all your opinions on the team, but much respect to you. Some of the best content on YouTube. Hail. And that's always my point, and it's always been my stance. We're not always going to agree. My guy, Burgundy Fly Guy, used to say it best. Welcome to the show where admission is where we may not always agree, but the admission here is free. Like, we're not always going to agree, and I don't expect us to. And we family, and family members get in arguments all the time. But you know, the sign of a strong family is I can tell you how I feel. I can tell you to your face, I don't believe in the shit you're talking about. You can disagree with me and you tell me, hey, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And guess what? We can come back together, put any differences aside, talk that shit out, and we can move forward. And that's what you do when you're a family. And that's what we do. We're not always going to agree. I'm not going to agree with the shit you're talking about. You ain't going to agree with the shit I'm talking about all the time. But guess what? At the end of the day, we all want the same. And that's sometimes I think some fans lose sight of this. We all want the same damn thing. We may just have different paths of ways to get there. That's it. You want the wide receiver, this person want the quarterback, this person want the offensive tackle. We all want the same goddamn thing. We want to win. It's just we all got different ways of getting there. You want this coach and you want that GM and you want this player at 3 and this player at 33 but we all want the same damn thing. You might not believe in Sam. You want this quarterback. Or you might say Sam is fine, but I want to take a wide receiver. I don't want no tackle. Or you might say Sam is fine and we don't need no receivers. I got to have a tackle. We all want the same damn thing, but some people get so caught up in being right. They lose sight of the fact that we all on the same team. We want the same thing. You just want to go about it a different way. Who gives a who's right or wrong? Let's just win. That's the ultimate goal. And so many fans get caught up on, I told you so. Wanting to be right, wanting to beat their chest. I don't give a shit if I'm right or not. I just want to win, man. At the end of the day, that's all I want. That's all I've ever wanted, was to win. Some people lose sight of that. But I appreciate you, Aubrey, for not losing sight of that. And people out there like you, I appreciate that. Because at the end of the day, you ain't going to always agree with what I say. I know that. I have too many opinions. Ain't no way you're going to say every single thing Louie T said out of his mouth I agree with. There ain't no way. But at the end of the day, you might shake your head like, hey, Louie T tripping, man. But you know just as good as I do, you want to win, I want to win. And when 105 on Sunday afternoon hits, we sitting in front of our monitor, we sitting in front of our TV, and we rooting for the same damn thing. We supposed to be. That ain't always the case. And that's the shit that breaks my heart. Is that on Sundays, especially when the season's lost like this, it's fans actively rooting for Sam Howell's demise right now. That's bullshit, man. You might not want to win, but you can say, hey, the young fella can play well. I still don't want him. But no, they actively rooting for this man's demise so that he's not back next year. I can't get with that. Even when I didn't like Dwayne Haskins, I wanted no parts. Y'all know this. I wanted no parts of Dwayne Haskins. Once he was drafted by us, I'm rooting like hell for the kid. And once I've made up my mind, he ain't it. He ain't it. And if he is it, and I'm wrong, I will gladly say, hey, man, 00 time. And I will offer up the 00 because I want to win. I don't give a shit about being right or wrong. Especially when it comes to my team. Now, when it comes to other teams, I'm beating my chest when I'm right. I want to be right. So I'm rooting for whatever the position that I have. I'm rooting for that shit like hell. Because it don't make no matter to me, no difference whether you win or lose. You ain't my team. It ain't my team. When it comes to my team, I want to be wrong if it means the team is right. I want to be right if it means the team is right. Whatever it means for the team to be right, that's what I want to happen. Whether that's favorable for me or not. It's a lot of fans that they miss that part. And that shit bothers me. But Mike Jink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, my guy Mike Jink. Right. Carter didn't play well versus the Jets. So first loss since he didn't play versus the Jets. So his first loss since 2021. And that's probably it. He young, man. And a lot of people don't realize that. That's a young man we talking about. I mean, he's super young. And he ain't lost a game in eons. Like I said, Georgia didn't lose his last 2 years in college. So like Mike Jink said, this brother ain't lost a game since 2021. Right? I would say it's probably 2020. Because they didn't lose a single game in 2021. I don't think. I thought they were undefeated in 2021. And they were undefeated again in 2022. And won the national championship back-to-back years. I thought that's what happened. I could be wrong. And they could have lost a game in 2021. And then still won the national championship. But I thought they went undefeated in 2021. Undefeated in 2022. He got drafted, and then they were 10-1, and he didn't play against the Jets. So he was 10-0, 12-0, 12-0, and he hadn't lost since 2020. But whatever the case may be, I just know the man ain't done a lot of losing here in the last 3 years. I just know that. So that loss might have hit him different. He'll get over it. He'll grow. He'll learn, but I need him to not be crying on the sideline. Say that shit for the locker room, like I said. Anyway, I digress. All right, we about to get out of here. We've already hit our limit, our time limit on the show. Big win for the Packers, man. 27-19. Niners fan, I'm going to just answer this. That's my guy, Niners fan. And I got to air him out a little bit. I kind of did that already, but let me see what he say first. Niners fan writes, I did not expect us to destroy Philly like that. I'm going to take it a step further. You did not expect to beat Philadelphia. You were talking so much shit about your team. You were so down on them. I was actually disappointed in you for the shit. Because you came up here every week, woe is me, oh, we suck. We're not going to do anything. We can't beat anybody. We can't beat Philadelphia. And I'm like, bro, chill. I remember telling you over and over, chill with that shit, man. Chill. Your team is better than you giving them credit for. Yeah, 3 in a row sucks. You shouldn't have lost the first one to Cleveland. Kirk had an out-of-body experience on a Monday night, right? And wanted them to get, and then they made some big plays, and Purdy didn't play well down the stretch, admittedly. They were on the come up. I'm telling you, they were going to be the best team in the AFC. So no shame. And it's not like you lost to the Jake Browning-led Cincinnati Bengals. And all of this was without Trent. The final two were without Trent and without Debo. And I was like, bro, just chill. Okay? Those boys come back and you still struggling, come talk to me. But he said, my only complaint is that we didn't get any pressure on Hurts. He just held on to the ball a long time. We didn't generate any real pressure. I thought you generated a little bit of pressure, but he's really good at manipulating the pot. First of all, that Eagles offensive line is ridiculous. You won't see another offensive line like that the rest of the year. Okay. Mailata on one side, Lane Johnson on the other side. The interior is as stout as it gets, with Kelsey leading the charge, a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Jurgens has come in and played really well this year at one of the guard spots. Like, they're loaded, bro. That line is ironclad as it gets. So there's no shame in not getting to him. But also, I thought you got pressure, and he just did a really good job of dipping and coming back out, running around, creating more time. That's what he does. He's so slippery. He's hard to sack because he's just got a great feel for what his linemen are doing, how to get out of the pocket. A lot of people, especially Chase Young, you're going to see this a lot with him. Chase Young has zero regard for outside contain. He will come inside rush when he's supposed to be outside and get washed 2 gaps over, and it's just a lot of quarterback. Like the one he threw across his body to Boston Scott, my guess is that's Chase Young. I could be wrong. Could have been somebody else. But my guess is that's Chase Young getting washed inside, trying to inside move, get washed inside. Hurts able to roll out to his left, run all the way to the sideline, post up, and throw all the way back across his body because there was nobody out there because the defensive end on that side got washed inside. That's a good offensive line. I'll just tell you like that. Like, you're not going to run into that every week. Not even Dallas's offensive line is that good. You're not running into that group every week. But you did what you needed to do. That's what's important. What I would tell you is you got to reel in Dre Greenlaw. And we had a conversation about Dre Greenlaw before, at least twice. He's a walking, head case. And at any moment he could explode. You get 15-yard penalties because of this dude all the time. But he's also a special player. And he's got to conduct himself in a better manner because you need him. And in games like that, you need him out there. He can't get ejected. And I know the Eagles dude was out of pocket, but he can't be getting ejected. He's too important to your team. They lost a damn security guard. They cool with that trade-off. Your second best linebacker for a dude that don't even suit up for the team. They'll trade that every day. That's like a goon in hockey getting ejected and the other team's best player getting ejected too. They'll take that trade-off every day of the week. Can't feed into that. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me. Your man, Louie T, here on Sunday Night Football Overtime. Green Bay Packers with a massive victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, who are now 8-4 and fall behind all of those 3-loss teams in the AFC. Baltimore. We see Jacksonville tomorrow, and they got a chance to leapfrog Kansas City. They've already done it by a half game by virtue of this loss, but we'll see if they can stay there by beating a depleted Cincinnati team. And then, of course, also the Miami Dolphins, who moved to 9-3 today. So this is a big loss for Kansas City, and it's been a long time since the Chiefs have had to play in Wild Card Weekend. They've had that first round bye for many years. They've been home field advantage throughout the AFC, what feels like for the last 5 years. They're on the verge of having to play some wild card football and go on the road if things fall the way that they could fall. Go on the road for the AFC Championship game. They've been used to getting home cooking throughout the playoffs. A lot of football left, but this is who they are. You know what? Before we get out of here, let me just look at their schedule real quick. I'm actually curious right now. Let me look at their schedule real quick and see what they got left. Can they get hot? They got the Bills, so they got a bye week coming up. After they come off the bye, I'm telling the story. They already had their bye week. So they got the Bills this weekend coming up. Then the Patriots, then the Raiders, then the Bengals, so they can win their final 4 games. It's just that if they could get past this Bills game, and the Bills are desperate, and the Bills are going to be the desperate team, and I can see the Bills coming off that bye, and because they're desperate, winning that football game. And if they can do that, I can see the Bills getting on a run. And I feel like this, I'm going to say this, and I know it sounds crazy. If the Bills get into the playoffs, they could be the representative for the AFC. I believe in Josh Allen more than any of these other quarterbacks, not named Mahomes, and I just don't believe in Mahomes and that offense right now. I just don't. And so if Allen can get in, I might defer to Allen and the Bills, even though I'm rooting for Lamar and the Ravens, but I just don't trust them. I don't trust them. But that schedule says to me, if I can beat Buffalo, I can win the final 5 games and end up 13-4. I know Jacksonville's going to slip up once or twice more. I know Baltimore's going to slip up once or twice more. And I know that the Dolphins are going to slip up once or twice more. And you own the tiebreaker over both Jacksonville and over Baltimore because you've beaten both of them. If that's the number one tiebreaker, and we got to do some homework there because shit seems a little crazy. But that my guess is that's the tiebreaker. The first tiebreaker is head-to-head. And you've beaten both of those teams. So the question then becomes, what about Baltimore? Because you don't play them this year. We'll see. But anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here and enjoy the rest of your evening. We will reconvene tomorrow, Louie T Network podcast. Also, Bengals at Jags, Monday Night Football. I'll be here for the conclusion of that, as always, Monday Night Football overtime. I'll sit here wallow in my self-pity with my drink, watch what some of these other players. I already saw what Terry McLaurin had to say. He literally did say, yeah, I got in some cardio work today. So I'm happy for Terry. I'm so happy he said that. Be frustrated, young fella, and don't hide the shit. Don't hide it. This shit is garbage. And I know you're a good dude and this ain't what you, but let them know this shit ain't acceptable on any level. That a guy of your caliber should be out here for however many snaps and get 2 or 3 targets max. And really one of them didn't count because it was a throwaway that didn't make it out of bounds and you had to play defense. And so you got literally 1 or 2 targets and no catches. Only the second time in your career. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So let it be known you're not happy. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow, though. Y'all know what it is. Anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Chiefs, 8-4. Now in 4th place in the AFC in terms of the standings behind Baltimore, Miami, and Jacksonville. So, look, it's a tight race up there. Can't be losing games like this on the road to Green Bay. Meanwhile, the Packers are 6-6, and they look like an NFC playoff team right now. They really do. Them and the Rams are surging teams right now. Meanwhile, the Vikings and the Seahawks are trending downward, and the upward trajectory is in the favor of the Rams and these Packers, who are now 6-6. Hell of a game by Jordan Love. Big game by the defense. Big win for the Packers. See you guys next time. Have a good one.